Welcome everybody to the Storytime channel. My name is Steven, and today we have some I Don't Work Here Lady stories. Our first story of the day is by Warsaw555, I'm Moving, It's Not For Sale. Many years ago, my wife, teen son, and I were bringing some things out of our old house for the movers to load, on the 44-foot moving semi with a prominent national name on the side. Unbeknownst to us, until the night before, our neighbor on the corner was having a garage sale. Having had small experience with a semi-rig, I went out and marked off no parking spaces so the truck could maneuver. Even with that, I had to go out and guard the spaces about 7 a.m. even though the garage sale was not supposed to start until 9. They'd say, "Oh, we'll move." I'd say, "I can't afford to come looking for you as minutes count with these trucks. So if you give me your keys now so I can move it then." Or the sheriff said, "Remind folks, this is the township, so there is no right-of-way on the properties on this street. So you're on private property, and I've already spoken to my neighbors about it." They left but got my neighbors to put their cars, and we used ours in those slots. Because as soon as one left and we put the tape back up, another one would drive in. So the truck comes, the ramp is down, the movers are carrying our kitchen table up the ramp. Someone walking across our lawn to the yard sale asks them how much for the table, follows them into the truck and goes, "Oh, 6 matching chairs, how much for the whole set?" The movers ask him nicely to leave the truck and ask the homeowner. He just walks into the propped open front door and starts looking into rooms going, "Hey, who owns this joint?" Scared my wife and son just pointed to the family room. He comes in, I'm wearing a blue work shirt stained under arms. It was hot and I looked like one of the crew. He's like, "Where is the owner?" I said, "What do you need him for?" He says, "I want to buy that kitchen table and chairs and want to know what he would want for them." I said, $628, not a penny less. He said, "I could buy the one on sale new at that price." I said, "Yep, I know." He said, "But you can't expect to sell them at a garage sale for that." "Yep, you're right. But we're not having a garage sale. We're moving." He says, "And this is your stuff?" "Yes, and I bought that chair and table about 5 months ago." "Man, you got a really good price." If you were minding your own business in the midst of a move and somebody just strolled right into your house, what would you do? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by So Long and Goodnight 23. We are not jollies. Please stop harassing us. In my house, we still have a landline and the same house phone number my parents have had for over 30 years. Jolly's, a UK pet superstore, has had a branch in my hometown for 20 years now, and we've never had an issue with them until 2018. One day, my mom got a phone call from an elderly lady who began asking us about a pet food we had sold her that was the wrong flavor, and if she can come back and replace it, and we had no idea what she was talking about until she started asking if she was speaking to Jolly's. After telling her that we are not Jolly's and the lady apologizing and laughing about it, she thought nothing of it and carried on with her day. Only to suddenly, for the next 6 months, get multiple phone calls a day from people asking for Jolly's. It turned out that the phone number for our local branch was almost exactly the same as ours, except theirs ended in 88 and our number in 38. About 70% of these calls were fine and even apologetic about calling the wrong number, and my mom would kindly offer them the actual number, but the other 30% would get absolutely belligerent and rude. One particular afternoon, before we had figured out they had such a similar number, I answered the phone and a woman immediately started talking down the phone about her dog and wouldn't stop to listen to me. A little backstory, I just came home from uni, so I had no idea at this point that this was going on. This isn't word for word as it was 3 years ago, but I remember a lot of it because it was so amusing afterwards. She will be Kay, I'm me. "I need to bring me dog in to be checked out. He's been sick as ever since I bought him some treats from your shop, so you'll need to give us me money back because it's not on selling stuff that's gonna make me dog sick like." I say, sorry, who is this? I don't know what you're talking about." "Excuse me? I'm talking about my poor baby who's currently suffering after eating stuff I bought from your shop this morning, and I need to bring him in to be looked at soon as. At this point, my mom has been quietly telling me about all the weird Jollies calls we've been getting. I say, I'm sorry, but you have the wrong number. This isn't Jollies. Yes you freaking are. I got your number off my receipt, so you have to be Jollies. Stop lying and get me your manager since you're obviously too lazy to do your own freaking job. I say, I'm really sorry, but this isn't Jollies. This is my house, and I really need to get back to cooking. I'm sorry, but I really can't help you. Goodbye. I hung up the phone and was on my way back to the kitchen, and the phone went off again, and of course, it was Karen back again. How freaking dare you hang up on me? I'll be coming right in now to get you sacked, and I'll be blasting you all over the internet. I say, oh my god, I was trying to be polite before, but this is beyond a joke. This is literally my house, not a freaking pet shop. Leave us alone. Bye. I hung up and left the phone off the receiver so that she wouldn't be able to get through again. Unfortunately, we got a lot of calls like that from various people, some who were even more unpleasant than the Karen had been. My sisters both just started lifting the receiver for long enough to check that it wasn't one of our elderly relatives, then hanging up immediately. A few days after that Karen call, we ended up going to Jolly's to ask about it. Turns out, one of their tills wasn't printing the receipts properly, so the first 8 looked like a 3. And that's why we had been getting so many calls. They said they would sort it out and even called us to say they had, yet the calls persisted for another 2 months before my mom called the phone company and got a filter added so the callers would have to state their names first and wait for us to accept their call. This stopped most of the calls, but we still from time to time get the odd call for Jollies, and my mom, kind as ever, will answer to give them the right number. I guess the unfortunate thing is most of the people that would end up calling a line like that would more or less be somebody that either has an absolute question or has a problem, which very likely exposes you to a giant subset of people that have something to complain about or something to return. This next story is by J. Lee 7285. Karen wants wood I've loaded onto my truck. I live in a large city, over 1 million, and rather than buy wood for my barbecue and fireplace, I watch for tree removal and salvage local material. Our plant waste is removed 1 cubic yard per week, and therefore most homeowners are more than willing to allow others to salvage wood so that it does not harm their grass. It's a win-win situation. At a nearby home, a large tree had been removed, which was conveniently on the road leading to my home. The tree was close to 80 feet tall and 4 feet wide through the largest point prior to removal. The branches were the size of normal trees, but it was rotten in the center. I received permission to take as much wood as I wanted. Every day I carried a maul, which is a sledgehammer-axe combination for splitting wood, and would immediately load split pieces. During this work, a wild Karen stopped and asked if the wood was for sale. I advised that it was free. Karen pulled over, exited the vehicle, inspected the pile, eventually admiring my truckload. She wanted me to remove the wood from my Xterra and put it in her vehicle. I said no, that will not do, and once it was in my truck, it wasn't coming out. But I would begin splitting wood and help her load it, which apparently wasn't good enough. She tried to make me feel bad, but I advised providing any help is more than required. She resorted to rude comments, and I advised she could then split and load her own wood. Thought that was the end when she left angrily, but no. Law enforcement arrived on the scene within 15 minutes, having received a report, asking if I was making money, to which I replied, no, making chicken and ribs. The police officers laughed at that. I explained Karen's actions and we laughed a bit more, and they asked when I would barbecue, and I said this weekend. Just follow the good smells for a heaping plate. I too would like some barbecue, can I come over? I feel like it's a little disappointing that the Karen just kind of gets away scot-free for calling the police on something that, well, wasted their time. I mean, I guess technically it wasn't wasting their time if they got invited for some barbecue, but still it was wasting their time. Our next story is by Lovely Mish. Don't stand up if you don't work here. Context: I work with vulnerable adults, assisting them with daily life, including at medical appointments. The vulnerable adults employ me directly, in this case, an elderly man with a variety of disabilities as well as dementia. I'm taking the elderly man to an outpatient's clinic for blood tests. Due to COVID, most people are on their own, but he can't attend without support. I'm wearing a black sweater with a nerdy slogan on it and navy jeans. I'm a plump, middle-aged woman. All the nursing staff are wearing light-colored scrubs. Everyone is in masks except for elderly man and scooter lady because of their conditions. Elderly man and I are directed to our third waiting room of the day, and there are no chairs next to a space for his wheelchair. Due to his difficulties, I position him so that I'm stood across from him and he can see me. We manage some conversation, and then he wants to read something on his phone, so I set that up for him. Then Scooter Lady arrives and parks her scooter next to me and strikes up a conversation for a bit that eventually lapses into silence as we all wait for names to be called into one of the two clinics leading off to the waiting area. The nurse says, "Emma fake name? Emma fake name?" Woman gets up and heads to her. "Ah, this way, love." Scooter Lady says, "What name did she say, OP?" I say, "Emma fake name." Scooter Lady says, "Oh, not me then. I hate waiting." I say, "I know how you feel." Nurse says, "Peter's pseudonym, Peter's pseudonym." No one moves. Elderly man's phone rings and he starts talking on it. I strain to listen in case it's something I need to help with. It's not a family member. I relax. Nurse says again, "Peter's pseudonym?" Scooter Lady says, "I hate it when people don't turn up for their appointments, don't you?" I say, "I usually worry they're stuck in the car park." Scooter Lady says, "Oh yes, parking here is terrible." Long ramble about the terrible parking. "Peter's pseudonym? Peter's pseudonym?" The nurse sighs loudly and goes back into the clinic. Scooter Lady's still rambling about car parking. Angry man gets up and storms towards me. "Did you call my name?" Me surprised. "What? No, I'm talking with this lady." "Well, shouldn't you be doing your freaking job?" I automatically glance to elderly man because he mentioned my job. I am doing my job. Angry man starting to shout, "Bloody well look at me when I'm bloody talking to you. Freaking child, did you call my freaking name?" Me beginning to understand he thinks I'm a nurse. "No, but the nurse called Peter's pseudonym last." "So you did freaking call my name, you bloody witch." I say, "I'm not a nurse. Look, I think..." At this point, he takes his mask off and starts seriously advancing on me. My reaction is to glance at elderly man who is looking scared. I am now effectively pinned between Scooter Lady's scooter, the wall, and the man. "Do your freaking job, witch." I say, "Okay, so the nurse went that way when she called for you. And you're just going to stand there and do sod all about this?" I say, "I really have to be here. Could you go and find a..." Phlebotomist emerges from the clinic. Phlebotomist says, "What's happening? Why are you shouting?" "This witch called my name and now she won't move. I don't know where to freaking go." Phlebotomist sees mask in angry man's hand. "Are you able to wear a mask, sir?" I say, "Excuse me." Elderly man is now distressed, and so I push past angry man to get to him. "Did you see that? Freaking witch assaulted me." Me calming elderly man and explaining that the man just mistook me for a nurse. Angry man hearing the conversation. "Well, if you're not a nurse, you shouldn't be stood up then." Phlebotomist asks, "Could you put your mask on, please?" The nurse emerges from the clinic. "Why don't you have your mask on?" The angry man says, "Because the freaking staff here," gestures at me, "don't understand a freaking simple question." Scooter Lady in a sweet tone says, "The freaking patients don't understand who's staff here and who's not." Angry man gawks at her. Nurse says, "Come with me," leads him away. Phlebotomist says, "I need to go sanitize, there'll be a short delay," and heads off. Scooter Lady says, "I hate long waits." Elderly man says, "Me too." I go back to standing by the wall and hand sanitizing for all I'm worth. I honestly just don't understand people who live with such anger built up inside of them. I don't know what goes on in these people's lives that we don't understand or we don't see that cause them to act like this, but you kind of hope that whatever that is that fuels that gets better for them, because I just couldn't imagine living life being so angry and pent up like that. Just hope for the best for them, and really don't let that experience bother you if you can help it. At this point in my life, if it's a one-off event like that, I'm able to just let it go and look past it because I don't want to deal with the stress of it. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.